Hey guys, today we are going to throw off the hump. It sounds kind of silly, but this is the way a lot of production potters work. And production potters like make something, take it off, make something, take it off. Instead of recentering the entire piece of clay, this is way more clay than I need, but I'm just kind of demonstrating the throwing off the hump thing. So down here, it doesn't matter what's going on below here. We're just going to deal with this clay up here one at a time. Okay. So throwing off the hump, I mean, I kind of got it going. I coned and domed it a time or two. But again, I was not worried about this clay down here. What we're going to do now is just give this top piece of clay a little squeeze. So I'm only going to deal, see where I drew that line? With that piece of clay right there. Think of a tennis ball or maybe something a little bigger than that. That's the only part you're going to deal with. So right here I can do a little bit of coning and doming and coning and doming. So that's important to have that centered, and that's usually not very difficult for you guys at this stage. So we're going to make a stout thing first. Spout. A stout spout. So you go right back to the basics of throwing. You want this to be about the same depth as this. They should be kind of close to each other. If it's not perfect, it's okay. All right, we are still going. Now, a stout spout is very much like making a mini bottle. All right, you're gonna have a round bottom, and they are all diagrammed right up there on the wall also, and you kind of you wrote them down as well. So first I'm going to widen the base a little bit with my index finger, and then I'm going to do the top third and the middle third and the bottom third. Now, since this is already narrow, remember that idea of this finger over here applying equal pressure. That is super important. You cannot forget that. That's why it stays under control. If you only work over here, it just doesn't work as well. All right, so again, that is, so use your two index fingers, but use your index finger on the inside. All right, now, before I get this to go too small, I need to make our belly out here. So I'm going to reach down in there as far as I can. My index finger on the inside is kind of doing this. Kind of like with the throwing stick we did with the bottle. So I'm going to slow it down a little bit. See, I'm making that nice and round down there. This is almost always the spout that I use. Kind of work back and forth to get that nice round belly. Now, you don't use this entire thing when you put it on the teapot. I'll show you that in the next few days, how to attach it to the teapot. Now we go up here, just like we did before. We can do a pull, then a collar, and a collar. So it's just like a mini bottle. I have to really wiggle my finger, push my finger down in there and do one more pull or two. Again, look how this finger, and if you forget that finger, you guys, it does not work as well, I promise. Okay, now, just gonna do one more pull maybe. Now, I do need to tell you, it does not matter at all how the very, let me come through here, how the very tip is. It doesn't matter if this is kind of banged up, because we're going to slice that off. We wind up slicing the teapot spout back here somewhere. So don't worry if this is a little bit off. You don't have to kind of touch it up and flare it out and do that kind of stuff. Okay? All right. So let's just clean You're not going to trim this like you would normally trim a pot. So you want it to be pretty clean at this stage. Okay, now what do we do with it? You take a wooden knife and you have to go kind of well under here. We're just going to start to slice or undercut. Undercut quite a bit. Okay, I went, a good half an inch or so under there. Then you need to have a cutting wire handy. I'll make the other ones faster than this one. And you're going to get the wire right inside that groove you just made. And on the count of 3, you're going to pull towards yourself super fast. Okay, 1, 2, 3, like that. Tricked you. So then we just pick it up with our little fingers and put it right over there. Okay, that's throwing off the hump. Now I'll do this one, these faster. Okay, this one is going to be a tall. And again, I'm just focusing on that little piece of clay right there. Okay, that's centered. I'll do this much faster. Open up the inside a little bit. With the tall, we want it to be slightly flared at the bottom and just kind of keep coming up and up with a slight taper. Okay, so we always want to keep pushing in as we get this thing a little taller. I need to get way down in there and make this bottom part a little thinner. Now some people say, look, Mr. Bez, I just made my spout on my teapot. That's a spout for a teapot that's like that big. Okay, so now we need to get it narrower. So some collaring and just like making the neck. So this is kind of like making a bottle, but you're only making the neck part of the bottle. Up here you have to be kind of careful. And again, it won't matter what the rim is like. So this is more like an elephant trunk. I'm sorry, a tall. Actually, I'll make this go a little bit faster. Right now, this is a tall, but I'll turn this one into an elephant trunk because when you make an elephant trunk, you make another tall one and then you bend it. So let me make this a little bit narrower. And again, if you were to use this spout, you can ignore the top and ignore the very bottom. We kind of use the center area for the spout. Okay? And you'll see what I mean, I promise. Or if you look at a teapot, you'll see that the spout's not that long. It's more like in here. All right, now if you want to make, so imagine I undercut it and took it off, and I did that again, right? So all you do now to make an elephant trunk, you stop the wheel, kind of clean off your hand so you don't leave behind a bunch of too much gunk. And we're just going to push it forward and then pull the top back. So it kind of has a little bit of an S curve. So grab it with the palm of your hand. You're just going to push it forward a little bit and then just hold it down here a little farther and you're going to scoop it back towards yourself. Do it with a rounded hand so the trunk stays kind of round. And then there you go. Okay, then what happens is we really only use the center area, and usually it goes like that. If you think of Mrs. Potts on Beauty and the Beast, the teapot, Mrs. Potts, she has an elephant trunk handle, or a spout. Then, one more time, undercut it quite a bit, and get this all the way around until your fingers or your thumbs touch each other, and then pull straight towards yourself. Don't pull up or down. Then down here it doesn't matter either. If that gets bumped up a little bit, you can just kind of plop it right there and even kind of make sure it doesn't go anywhere by pressing down on it. All right. This extra clay, you can make something else, or maybe I'll just have this ready for a lid tomorrow. All right. You can cut that.